Today, archery. But what sort of archery? We're in a wood. What sort of archery would someone do in the wood? Well, not Olympic archery, that's for certain. Now, you've probably seen Olympic archery, and you might have noticed something about it, which is that it's dull, isn't it? You get these athletes standing on a perfectly flat plane, shooting again and again over exactly the same distance at a target of a known size, and it never moves at all. It's just the art of repetition. If you can do exactly the same thing over and over again, well, you could be a very good Olympic archer, because if you can do that and you've got your sights set properly on your bow, on your modern bow, well, you'll hit the bullseye every single time, won't you? Boring. But what about field archery? What about some way of simulating hunting, a moving target in difficult terrain like, say, a wood? Well, that's what I'm going to do today with my trusty ash longbow, which, as you see, I've got it in a bag here. A seller at a reenactment fair told me that if I had this bag, it would be in some way good. Right, and joining me is this chap. There he is. That's Jason Kingsley. And,
hello.
Now, I haven't shot this bow for several years. I'm extremely rusty. Have you, in fact, shot that bow outdoors at all?
I have not shot this outdoors at all. This is my first time, so I'm expecting to get through a lot of arrows.
Right. So, watching incompetent people fail at things is so much more interesting than watching people who know exactly what they're doing just succeed every single time.
Jason happens to own a forest, which is pretty handy, all said, and we went out to it on his moon buggy. In his massive woodworking shop, 4 targets had quickly been put together.
If I were playing golf, I would now be at the first tee, and the hole would be that target over there, Norman. But instead of one tee, in field archery, with this particular rule set, there are several rule sets. Back in the day, people just made it up. But anyway, with the particular rule set we're using, there are 3 tees. They're called pegs because they are pegs in the ground. And they are coloured red, white and blue. And as you can see, this one is red. Can you see how red it is? Yes, it's red. And the rule says that I must touch that with my lead foot. So, with my lead foot touching that, I have to take a shot at Norman. And I have not done any practicing today at all. This is genuinely my first shot of the day. No warm-up, because that would be cheating. I missed, but I was expecting to. So now what do? Do I shoot again from this peg? No. You only ever get 1 shot from each peg. So I must move to the second position. And look how awkward someone has been. They've put the peg immediately behind a tree, so I don't have a good position from which to shoot. What do I do? Well, I put my foot against the first peg, and I shoot from here as best I can. So I can't use my classic archer's pose. I have to instead lean out behind the tree awkwardly. And that is another miss. So I go to the third peg, which is blue, red, then white, then blue. Now, you really would hope that I could hit Norman from here. Frankly, it'd be embarrassing if I miss. And I can see that the arrow I've got loaded in my bow is not straight. Get in! Okay, so what did I score? Well, the target has an inner area and the whole of Norman. This is a miss. Yes, it hit the boss, but it hasn't hit the image of Norman, so that's counted as a miss. But there's the inner area, which counts slightly better. The first shot missed, so obviously nothing for that. The second shot a miss. But the earlier the shot, the more points you get. So if I'd hit him anywhere with that first shot, I would have got 20 points. But I didn't. And if I'd hit him anywhere with that second shot, I would have got, I think it's 14 points. I'll look it up. But as it is, my third shot is in the kill zone, the inner area. And for that, I get this many points.
Now it's my go. Now, obviously, if that Norman was a knight and I was on a horse and a lance, by the time I've said all of this, I'd have hit him with a lance. I have to dodge between the trees a little bit. But we're in a scenario where horses are not so good and lances are poor in the trees. So I'm going to have a go at a sport which I am a novice at. And that's always wonderful because it's always good to do something that challenges your own ego a little bit sometimes, which this will do. So let's have a go. So foot on the peg. Donk, missed. Next one, quick. Oh, I presume it's here. I'll pretend the peg.
Yes, it's definitely there.
I'll pretend the peg.
I notice you're using a right side of bow.
Well, it's going to be really awkward actually. I might go
It's meant to be.
I might go.
You have the option to go through if you want. Don't damage your bow though when it twacks.
Oh, that went a
Way over the
long
top.
way.
That was rubbish.
Yeah. This is rather good fun actually. See if I can hit anything. Oh, shield. No, you see, I missed by miles. Missed by miles. I don't think that counts, do you? Is that the shield?
Well, it is part of, normally the depiction of the thing that you're aiming at counts. But of course, we can always come up with our own rules. What do you think, viewers? He's hitting clearly in the shield. Should it count?
Interesting. Longbow, 50-pound draw weight. Maybe it would
Straight
go through.
And he gets some points. Well, he'll get this number of points.
Excellent.
So, if you had missed with your third arrow, it would be assumed that Norman had scarpered. They do that, you know.
Really enjoyed it. It's somehow more visceral than shooting Olympic style or with a. Don't you think? Well, you obviously know it is.
Oh, I think this is way more fun.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And you could do it at speed, I suppose, as well.
That's one of yours.
Thank you. That's one of yours.
So one of yours went really quite low. Oh, and one went very high.
Yes. So.
Yes, this is another aspect of the sport, is finding the arrow again. Ah, I see it. I see it.
You got it?
Yeah, it's here.
Excellent. I was thoroughly expecting to end up with 0. Oh, has it gone into wood?
No, you're fine.
Oh, wonderful.
Whew, you got vicious point on your arrows.
You. Is that, yeah. Whatever that creature is. I think it's a heraldic beast that's a combination of goose and
Well,
swan.
I think there's definitely.
Oh no. What did?
That is there. Okay.
Did it hit some?
I'll try pushing and see if it comes out the other end. Yep. I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
First arrow casualty of the day. It's bound to happen. King Alfred's cakes, fungi. When they're dry, they make excellent tinder.
I've been volunteered to go first this next time. I can't actually see what it is I'm supposed to be shooting at, but I can.
Careful! That, I'm sure, is the goose of Cranach Thun. It's got great big teeth and it'll rip your head off as soon as look at you. You better get it. You better get it.
Right. I would do my best.
Oh no! Quick! Quick, man! Quick!
There's a tree in the way.
You'll have to stoop. Oh! It all rides on this one.
I'm going to be done by the goose, aren't I?
Oh, you great bampot, we're doomed now.
Go on, you have a go. That one's really difficult for me.
Yes, you're using an arrow on the right side of your bow, but you're right-handed, made that very awkward. Okay, you'll notice I have no handle on my bow. Handles were introduced by the Victorians. A proper English longbow has no handle. Handles are for sissies. And I'm looking down my arrow and I see that this arrow, which has been stored for some years in its case, is also not straight. Oh, that missed by like that. Now, I ran over here as though we're against the clock. We're not on the clock, but I suppose you could add that as well. Time constraint to make things even more... Oh, holy cats, that's difficult. That took a deflection. That was in line, and it deflected off a twig.
It hit the tree on the way.
Ah. Oh, it's dead.
Very good.
Hey, so that's an inner kill zone. Sorry, no, kill zone, not inner kill. And so I get this many points.
Brilliant. Let's go find my arrows.
What do you mean, let's go and find your arrows?
That was that heck of a smack, wasn't it?
It makes a very satisfying noise, that
was very
target.
good.
And I'll say that actually about longbows. I went to an archery competition where people were using all sorts of modern bows. Ping, thup, ping, thup. And mine went twang, thunk. Yeah, that's more like it.
That's proper, there's another one.
And although, of course, I didn't do very well because other people had incredibly high-tech bows with, they're essentially sniper rifles in comparison to my pistol. And I said, oh yeah, but at least I'm doing more damage to the target.
Ah, good
And they said,
point.
oh no, our arrows are going faster, so they have more energy. And I said, look, there's a very, very simple way to find this out. How difficult is it to pull the arrow out of the target?
Yes.
Because it went in with exactly that amount of force. Okay, I've found mine now.
Fantastic. I'll just keep searching for mine.
Oh, I can see it. It's here.
Ah, yeah, got it. Brilliant.
Here it is. There's the rump. There's the snarling face of the crashing boar of Thebes. First peg. There's the target there, off in the distance between all those trees. Lots of twigs, but maybe we can cope. But what if we miss? Well, we go to the left and we find this stone here, and with a foot on that stone, we have to, oh no, would you believe it? We have to lean out this way and get over this, and there's the target, right. Okay, but maybe we miss. So we have to go around this and find the blue peg. The blue peg is in amongst all these twigs here, but it's pretty close. We shouldn't miss from here. I found my bit of paper with the scores on it. Now, if the target has an inner bullseye, which not all of them have, and you hit that with your very first arrow, you get 24 points. Well done, you. After that, the inner bullseye is nothing special. If you get in the inner kill zone with your first shot, that's 20 points. If you wound it, that's you hit the target but not in the inner zone, that's 16 points. If you have to shoot a second arrow, the best you can do is 14 points with the kill zone, and outside that in the wound zone, 10 points. Then your third arrow gets 8 for a kill, 4 for a wound. And if you miss with your third, well, tough. Righto. Oh, and why don't they just divide all the points by 2 and have smaller numbers? Nobody knows. Right, this is awkward. I don't want to bash my bow against this lying log. And there are quite a few twigs between me and... just to the right. I know where the arrow is though, that'll be easy to find. Right, forwards and to the left, foot on stone. Sometimes there's a ring of rope on the ground and you have to have one foot inside the ring. That's another way that they sometimes do it. Get in! Second arrow. I think that might be a head hit, but I'm not sure. Borderline.
Oh, so you don't go to the third one then?
I don't, no.
Ah, right, why go?
Beat that.
Well, all I could do is, we'll see. Quite a long way, isn't it?
You picked that spot. Well, we'll be able to find that arrow quite easily.
I'm missing in the same direction.
Yeah, that was definitely off to the right.
Yeah. I have to correct my aim somehow.
Hey! What do we got?
Oh yeah, I got a shoulder. You got him right in the spine.
But I have missed the head. Unless you count that tuft as the head, which I think is being generous, that's not a head hit, is it?
No.
I was thinking that that was the inner zone.
Okay.
So I think that's just a body hit.
Did you want to go get? Oh no,
No,
you
you keep shooting until you get it.
Right, until you get
And
it.
you will
then
always
stop.
get more points for getting earlier.
Right, brilliant. So I got him in the shoulder. You got him in the spine. I reckon that's probably a more lethal shot.
Well, yes, but more to the point, that's second arrow and that's third.
Yeah, good. You're well ahead. Right, let's find the rest of my arrows.
All right, I'm a bit frightened of losing my arrowhead here. They're only glued on and this has gone thunk quite definitely into this. Yeah, it's another arrowhead and that's going to be a bit of a swine to get out. Pair of needle nose pliers would be handy. Second arrow casualty of the day.
One of mine just went in the dirt. So it's gonna.
Yes, that may you may want to give that a bit of a wipe. Oh! Okay, this is one way to get it out. I don't feel that's vandalism. The tree was quite clearly dead. And with the strength of my thumb, yes, I was lucky that it was dead wood, that it was so easy. Okay, so that's another arrowhead to glue on when I get home. You'd really use two hands to get your arrows out, folks. Don't copy me. Ooh. And here's the villain of nightmares. It's Ugbash the orc. And if you can get him in the face, that's the inner zone. This here is the first peg, and though it's a very clear shot and a level shot and a straight shot, it's a very long shot. So this first one is difficult just because of that. And then if we miss, the second peg is between these two trees, and that means you can't move very far backwards because of the tree behind you, and you've got to lean out. And I think probably it's easier to lean out this way, but that means very awkward positioning of the feet. And if that's a miss, then there's a very simple one, and let's hope we really don't miss from here.
We have a Ugbash.
Ugbash! It's Ugbash! Quick, quick, sir!
Quick! He's charging at us. Lofted arrow. Oh, ho, ho, ho!
Oh, well done, sir! Yeah, that's going to be difficult for me to beat.
Well, I better just.
It's not a shot in the face, but that's going to be 20 points.
I better just relax.
Okay, right. I better use a straight arrow for this one, and that's not straight.
What do you do with your arrows to make them bend?
This isn't straight. Well, I store them for a very long time until they mature into a graceful arc. And that's not straight, but it's straighter than the other two. Okay. And I imagine you're aware of the dangers of over-straightening.
Oh, we're both improving.
Oh, no, wait, have I shot between his legs?
Oh.
I can't tell.
Should we quickly run up there and see? Silently gliding through the greenwood, not making noise and treading on many twigs.
With cat-like tread. Oh, have I just clipped his foot?
Was that an Achilles heel?
Oh, look, yes, look, I've just clipped him. They're very vulnerable there.
Achilles heel there, and what's that then? What do you reckon?
I thought it was a better hit. You've just clipped him in the little finger. So he's winged, and though technically we have both scored 20 points, we both feel that we'd like another go at this one.
I
So
agree.
to the second peg, sir. The second peg.
Right.
Oh, you rushed it.
I did.
Okay, so from there, it's got to be the face now, I reckon.
No pressure then. Oh, throat. Force of habit.
Right. Now, one option is I make my right foot my lead foot, and I step out like this, which actually doesn't feel so bad, or I lead with my left foot as usual. To be honest, doesn't feel as though it makes much difference. But either was a possibility. Oh. Get out of the way. The knee, I think, or the thigh.
You've got to think about that particular leg, the poor orc.
Oh, yeah.
He's stumbling and now he's stumbling further.
So in theory then, I've done better because it was an earlier arrow than yours.
Yes.
And you didn't hit the face.
No, I didn't.
So I could just claim victory, or I could try to shoot him in the face for fun.
Oh,
Stitch that,
very good.
Ugbash.
Oh.
Right between the eyes. So only one missed.
Well, you beat me fair and square in that one, but I was quite pleased with my first shot,
Oh,
actually.
and as is entirely understandable.
Yeah.
Oh. Look at that.
Oh.
That's a rather beautiful thing.
That is, isn't it? That roe deer skull.
I would guess so. Yeah.
Gosh.
I would rather like to have that if it's all right.
Be my guest.
Thank
Absolutely. Consider it a trophy.
Yeah, for this.
Yes.
My prize for killing Ugbash, as well as you.
Yeah.
Now earlier, you may have seen me taking the arrows out with one hand rather casually. That was bad of me. I had stuff in the other hand. But perhaps I should say a few words about how to take arrows out properly. First, you should use both hands always. You should never touch the arrow up here because you've got far too much leverage on the shaft and you might break something. You should only ever grasp it very, very close to the target, and you should have your other hand braced against the target, and you should also check behind you because when this comes out suddenly, it's going to do that and go to out of sight of you. So if there's someone who's walked up behind you there, it's possible for you to, oh, sorry mate, get him in the eye. So you check behind you, there's no one there, and then with one hand on the target, you can pull this out safely. Are you sitting uncomfortably? Well, don't. Sit properly. Ridiculous. That's better. Right, now, I could read you a story, but, well, I think we have to be realistic. We have to think long term. You see, I'm not always going to be there to do that for you. So, what could we do? Well, what I think you could do is take advantage of my sponsor, Audible. That's right. Audible is the world's biggest purveyor of English language spoken word audio stuff on the internet in the world. And you're bound to find something on there that you'd like. And you could take advantage of a free trial period. You could click on the link in the description, or you could type in audible.com/Lindybeige or text Lindybeige to 500 500. And by these methods, or at least one of them, you could take advantage of a free trial, have a wander about, and download to keep forever. It'll be yours, one complete audiobook. But you should understand this, that if you become a member, you don't just get one complete audiobook a month. Well, I mean, you do get that, but it's not just that. You see, you also get access to their full streaming content, all their Audible originals, all their podcasts, all that stuff. Loads more. And a selection also of audiobooks. So the amount of spoken word material is just, well, vast, frankly. You're very unlikely not to find something that interests you. Plenty of good stories. Now, if you want a good, because I know I haven't been giving you a huge amount of pocket money, some big, good bang for your pound, so to speak, you could do an awful lot worse than 27 hours of H.G. Wells, eh? Oh, yes, think of that. 27 hours of the father of wargaming. Yes, he wrote Little Wars, but also of science fiction. And read not just by anyone, oh no, by the likes of Jason Isaacs and David Tennant, who I believe is quite popular now with the young folk, and one of my favourite actors, Hugh Bonneville. So why don't you run along and give that a try, eh? Or go and play something with that shotgun I bought you. And we did all of that before lunch. So we built the targets, we loaded up the buggy, we went out to the woods, we set up 4 cameras and a load of microphones, and we took our time shooting those 4 first targets. And we, at the end of it, we thought, yes, we seem to have enough material for a decent little video here. And pleased with ourselves, we went back for lunch, and then we, what should we do now? Let's just do loads more, because we were having so much fun. We just, for the sake of the fun, really, we went out. But I had my camera with me, and we did have a camera op with us who followed us around. Unfortunately, most of that footage got corrupted somehow. I don't know. Jason tried to send it to me over the interweb, and the interweb wasn't having it, and it got corrupted. And but maybe that's a good thing, because I think you've got the general gist of it now, haven't you? Now, I've only actually done this properly once at a local course, and I've been trying to join that club since 2013, but they won't let me join. They say that this is because it's the admin side of it is staffed by volunteers and they're a bit behind. I think actually the reason is that they know I'm a YouTuber and they're frightened that I will disclose the location. I've said to them that I will never do that. But they have reason to fear that might happen, because the targets they use are rather nice and rather expensive. They have a lot of these, like this, they have 3-dimensional rubber models of animals that they're really good targets, actually. Good fun to shoot at. But they wouldn't want vandals coming in and having their way with those. So I understand that. Anyway, perhaps I should re-emphasize something that I did mention in the video already, but I should say it again, because some of you perhaps haven't been hit by the consequences of it. You only get to shoot 1 arrow from each peg. So typically, when you miss, you can see where your arrow went. So if it went down and left, you can think, okay, I need to aim up and right with my next arrow. And if you stand in exactly the same place, in exactly the same posture, and you aim up by the amount you missed by last time, you should, with your second arrow, hit the target. But you never get to do that. You never get, if you like, a sighting arrow. You have to hit or miss and then move on to the next peg and then recalculate everything. You'll be standing in a different position. You're now standing like this perhaps, and the distance is different. Maybe you're shooting downslope now. So it's a new challenge. Each peg is a new challenge, and you never get to set your sights using the first arrow. Now, this course is particularly suited, I would say, to my favorite kind of shooting, which is known as instinctive shooting, particularly with a primitive bow with no sights. Now, you may not be familiar with archery, but there are some really sophisticated bows now with things that make it extremely easy to pull. You have a thing, a strap that goes around your wrist and a hook that goes on the string, and then you pull back, and there are these cams that rotate, and they give you tremendous leverage when you're holding, so you can hold the bow at full draw really easily, and you don't get arm shake, and so you can aim very accurately, and then you just touch a little bar, which is a trigger, and it releases the string very smoothly and exactly the same every single time. And then the string, which has got little stabilizers on it, stop it shuddering, goes straight. And because it's being pulled straight by bent limbs that are on the top and bottom of the bow that bend like that and then straightening the string, instead of my bow, which it shoots forward. So when you see me release an arrow, you'll see that the limbs, which are big bits of wood, they go like that forwards, and my whole bow goes like that immediately after I shoot. But you don't get that disturbance with these modern bows that pull the string from either end upwards and downwards. And they have great big stabilizing anti-torque weights on the front, and they have sights. They have sophisticated foresights and back sights, and so yeah, with their carbon fiber, extremely thin, smooth arrows, etc., etc., they're enormously more accurate than a longbow. But if someone with a bow like that sets his sights so he's got them just perfect, so that when he shoots over a perfectly level plane against a target that's exactly 30 yards away, he'll hit the bullseye every time. And now you present him with a target that looks like a deer. He doesn't know how far away it is. He doesn't know how big the target is, perhaps. And he can't stand in his normal position, so he's like this, and the bow's tilted over. So his sights are all over the shop now. They don't really help him. So he's in a bit of trouble. But yeah, I mean, the sights still help. It still helps that you've got a modern bow, but he doesn't get the full advantage of his modern bow. And because he only gets one shot, he doesn't get to reset according to the first. So if someone with a bow like that did get 2 shots, the second arrow really should hit the bullseye every time, because the ranges in field targets, field archery, are usually not that long. So there are 2 things you can do. You can do gap shooting or instinctive. Gap shooting is sort of the opposite of instinctive, really. Every decision you make is a conscious one. So you might, for instance, be very familiar with how your bow shoots at a target at, say, 30 yards. And you may also, from experience, know that every 10 feet beyond that, it drops 2 inches, for example. So if you think that the target is, say, 20 feet further away, you'll aim 4 inches higher. So you consciously think, I need to aim 4 inches higher. And so you do what you hold your bow as you normally would, and then you correct by 4 inches, twang. So everything is conscious, everything is perceived, everything is premeditated and calculated. And I've tried that. I don't get on with it. I don't do very well with gap shooting. I do way better with instinctive shooting, which is what both of us, Jason and I, were using, which is where you look at the target, think, and then you draw your bow and you release when you think it feels sort of right. And personally, when an instinctive shot proves good and you hit the target, I find it twice as satisfying. Oh, it's such a satisfying thunk. Anyway, obviously, when I did this before, the one time, there were 6 of us, and I came third, and I was really pleased with that, because the guy who came first was a professional archer who ran the course and knew every target extremely well, so he had a lot of advantages there. And the guy who came second had a very sophisticated bow with all the twiddly bits that I've just been talking to you about on it. So the fact that a guy with just a stick and a string managed to come third, and some of the people who everyone I beat had a much more sophisticated bow than I did. So that was really satisfying. And yes, of course, I missed the target fairly often. But if you don't miss the target, what sort of sport would it be? This was once coppiced woodland, hence the appearance of some of these trees that have been left to grow unchecked, because that is seriously awkward.
As I said, technology ate most of the footage here, but I thought I'd show you a couple of the pegs and targets that we set up. Second peg is right behind some raggedy coppiced poles, and the third, which yes should be blue, is a pretty straightforward shot.
First peg into the sun, quite a long shot, deliberately directly into the sun through a fair bit of twiggage. Over here, second peg deliberately put somewhere really awkward. Where do you put your foot to touch that whilst shooting? You're going to stand on the log? You're going to have to decide. And then over here, it's, plenty of twiggage. You have to lean right out to get him, and that's again right into the sun. Nasty. Now here we have the first peg, which is red, and it's at the bottom of a ditch. As we rise up to look out over the ditch, there's the target. But how far away is it? You can't see all the ground between yourself and the target, so if you don't know the size of the target, how could you judge? And there's the sport of it. Anyway, we're going to stay in the ditch. There's our second peg, and there's the third. When I did my degree in archaeology, I did a course in landscape archaeology, and one of the things we were taught is to look for particular species that would tell you how long something has been the landscape that it is. So for instance, how long has this been a wood? How long has this been an environment in which this sort of plant can survive and thrive? This is dog's mercury, and if you see lots of dog's mercury in woods, that tells you that these have been woods for a very long time. This peg looks quite easy to stand next to. It's got nothing around it, no bumps, no hindrances. It's not immediately behind a tree. What's going on? We have 2 targets, but they're at quite different distances. And we have just 3 arrows for 2 targets. And the second peg is here. But you see the targets are sort of in line. Which one are you going to go for? And from the third peg, it's a very easy shot at the near target, but to hit the other target, you have to lean one way or the other. What tactics will be used? Let's find out. You don't have to shoot more than one from any one peg, though.
No, I'm going to go for.
Okay. I am just making these rules up, by the way. Another aircraft. Okay, it's more awkward than I realised. So you'd get the most points if you can hit the face of the near target. Kingsley, naught. Oh-ho!
I think that's in his chin.
Right, that could even be a face hit.
Yep.
So now it's definitely worth it for the super points to go for Norman. Oh, there are twigs in the way, which I hadn't noticed before. And it's almost impossible to eliminate them, so. Oh, that was perfect for line.
Did that have an end on it? That arrow?
No, which perhaps explains why it went a little high.
I suddenly thought that looked a bit weird, the end of the arrow.
Okay, that explains why it went. It was beautiful. Like it went just over the point of his nasal helm.
Shoot again. I think that was an equipment failure.
You wouldn't say it's a sign of incompetence on the archer that he didn't notice that there was no head on his arrow.
No.
Okay, well, it's very generous of you. I think other people would have said, "You idiot."
Good. I like to see good shooting.
Ah, didn't get him in the face. Drat. Okay, so did the cleft in the chin save him? It did. It did. Thanks to the cleft in his chin, I have just missed by a whisker.
But I think basically, the more you hit, the more points you get.
Oh yeah, that's true, yes. So the fact that you missed with all your arrows, I think is likely to count against you. You have now tried field archery. So what do you think?
I thought I would really enjoy it, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was brilliant. I like the fact that you have to get into funny positions to shoot, and things can get in the way, and it just feels more like being one of Robin Hood's merry men.
Yes, you get a grand day out, you get a nice walk in the country, and you don't have to repeat the same thing over and over again. You get different challenges with every new target, and all you really need is 3 pegs, which should be red, white and blue. We didn't have any white paint, but you just need 3 pegs and something to shoot at. Now, what's this inside here? You've got a sack over the top of what?
This is a type of foam. It's an insulation foam, about 100 millimetres, 10 centimetres thick, and it's I think it's called Celotex.
Okay, well that's what you use. So you just need a thing to act as a backing for the target, and I suppose you could just start with one bow and just hand it over to the next person. And I would actually recommend, if you're doing this, to use the most primitive bow you've got. Just sights, don't use sights. It's so much more fun just instinctively leaning over at some weird awkward angle, and at which point, by the way, all your sights will be completely out anyway, so the sights become useless. And just thinking, about there seems about right, and then if you do hit, it's twice as satisfying.
I know, it's absolutely brilliant when you get those shots that go horribly wrong, or you hit a twig and it boing off, which is really frustrating. But when you do get that hit, it's somehow more solid and it feels more real. I don't know how any other way to describe it, but it's just fun. And being outside for all that fresh air, it's got to be good for you.
Fresh air and fun, they go together. Yeah. So how many arrows did we lose?
I lost just 1. So it's somewhere over there. I will go and find it later, but that's not bad for a complete beginner.
But look what he found whilst looking for that arrow. So I reckon you've come out roughly quits.
Exactly. This could be a magic +1 dagger. It's a little manky around the edges, but
it's got moss going on it. It's been there a while.
It has. So somebody at some stage lost this while LARPing in the woods.
Yes, I think one of Ugbash's friends dropped it.
Yeah, but it's pretty good. I think, what is that? An elven dagger? I don't know. It'd be rather nice if it was, but yeah, amazing what you find in the woods.
So it doesn't have to be expensive. You could have one very primitive bow. I suppose at the absolute minimum 3 arrows, though I would definitely take at least 6 for safety. Something to shoot at. Now, you are very fortunate that you've got these wonderful woods to roam around in. Others might find it a little trickier to find a suitable spot to shoot.
Yeah, you'd have to be careful because you've got to be very aware that there might be dog walkers. You can't just go into your local park and do it without permission. You could get into trouble.
Now, one minor frustration with this otherwise excellent locale is that it's fairly flat, and it's really useful to have dead ground, and the challenge as well. The challenge of shooting down a steep slope at a target or up is quite significant. It's not, I find it quite counterintuitive which way you should aim to take into account the slope.
Didn't you say something about putting targets in trees as well? And
Well,
then...
if you put a target in a tree and miss, you're not going to find that arrow. But I was talking about putting a peg in a tree, so you have to climb up the tree and shoot from a tree.
Right.
That would be fun, and that's
Yeah.
definitely very Robin Hood.
That absolutely is. We should do that. And I quite like the fact that we had an orc and a Norman knight, because that was very, very authentic. Although my wellies, I'm
Yeah.
afraid, I have let the side down a little bit with wellies.
Now, we came out this morning to shoot the video because we were making a video for YouTube, because we're YouTubers and that's what we do. But then we both wanted to come out again and just do more shooting because we were having such fun.
And I think it does teach you quite a lot about archery because it's such an awkward thing to do sometimes. You almost have to forget the technical issues, all the sort of arms in the right place, because they're obviously not in the right place. And therefore you've got to do it instinctively. And I just think that's sort of somehow more close to having to maybe hunt for your own food back in the day.
Yes, and clearly instinct worked because this morning we did very often hit, so that's good. And this afternoon we definitely hit a lot more often.
I thought it was a dramatic change. I mean, what we've been doing this for a few hours, and I reckon we'd improved 100%, possibly.
A lot, certainly. So instinct works.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you very much, Lloyd. It's been a really interesting experiment, and I've really enjoyed being out in the woods and seeing them in a different way, because normally I'm 8 foot high on a horse in these woods.
And next time you ride through, you'll think, oh, I could put a target just there.
I will. I will indeed.
Yeah, there you go. Field archery. If you can give it a go, I'd recommend doing so.